It is a little known fact, but sometimes I make things with clay that are never featured in the videos I put on this YouTube channel. And they're basically always things from video games I like Rain World or Super Meat Boy, or from a TV show I like Adventure Time or Smiling Friends. But the only time I really make completely original things is for videos. And recently, I decided to make a character from my most played video game. I've put a little bit of time into it, like about 640 hours. And it's Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Incredible game. It's like 6 or 7 years old or something like that, but it's really good. Actually, I think it's 8 years old now. But it's a very good game, clearly. Worth 640 hours of playing. And it has hundreds of characters across 14 different classes, not counting Hover Goat and Torchwood. And the best class, clearly, objectively, is the Imp class. They're the best. They're the zombies, which are just better than plants, and they're the best zombie. But there's one Imp that stands out above the rest, and I should mention that the Imp class is known for being tiny zombies that can summon huge mechs. And I thought, a huge Imp mech could look cool on my shelf next to my other creations. And from that moment, I knew there was only one possible option, the single best Imp in the game, and it has turned into my most difficult, longest, most complex clay-related project ever, maybe apart from a couple videos, but it is finally finished. So this is the Pylon Imp. It's probably my most complex creation yet. And the first question that comes to your mind is, how does this stand up? It's actually quite interesting. Basically, I have this armature wire I bought. It's kind of bendable, but it stays still, and that's what's in these arms. That's how the twiggy thin arms hold up such big hands, like the big gun and the big piece hand. And that's also what's making this stand straight up, armature wire. This thing here, this whole top piece, is actually a plastic cup covered in orange clay. That's how I got the clear and the cone shape. And you can kind of see here there's a slight seam where the cup ends, and I added more on to make the top a bit more cone-like. And so I would have thick clay to push the top of the arms through. There's some other details. This is a zombie head on the top, or I don't really know what it's supposed to be. But it's got eyes and a little mouth. You've got this engine in the back, and you've of course got the exhaust pipe spitting smoke out, and the smoke is holding him up on either side. You've got the one wheel on the bottom, the two little headlights, this blaster with all the details on it, the cone blaster. That's where he shoots his bullets, the Imp inside. And yeah, it stands up because this tire is also armature wire, and it goes up and comes down. And originally I had it just loop through here, like just a arch, basically, upside down. But then the clay wheel would squish and the whole thing would start falling. So now it actually goes in and then arches, so it's kind of like a up and then in and then small arch and then back out and down. So it actually keeps going all the way to the bottom of the wheel, so there's nothing to push down on. There's wire all the way to the floor. And And then this smoke also has wire running through it, but it doesn't run to these, because if it ran to these, you know, it wouldn't hold up the mech itself too well. It actually comes up and runs through this back platform, and then I just added more on top to cover up. You can't, it looks like it's coming out of the flames, the smoke, but it's actually going through. And yeah, the smoke was a detail I added so it could stand up, because there's no way to stand up on one wheel, so it's kind of got a leg, big leg in the back, a little leg in the front. And that much smoke coming out of the pipes, probably should take that to the mechanic, but it looks cool. And then I made these little pylon mines, made 3 of them, not anything too impressive. I used a toothpick to get this little top part to stick up. A lot of toothpicks were used in connecting pieces. Basically everything is connected with toothpicks. But the main attraction of this mech, let me get my phone in the stand real quick. The main attraction is if this will come off, boom, the cup pops off and you can witness the behind the scenes. You know, engine's still sitting there. Here's the full Pylon imp character. He's kind of using his control panel, typing on his tablet. He's got his headphones on, his earmuffs, rather, not headphones. His pylon on his head. He's got his tool belt. There's a kind of a hammer down there at the bottom. Don't know if you can see that. He's got the little shoulder pads on, bunch of little buttons. The control panel's front kind of got screwed up by the cone slipping over it so tightly. And the imp, of course, has his little jetpack, so he can double jump like in the game. PvZ Garden Warfare. I don't think I said this is a character from Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. It's a video game. I'll probably add in a part of me explaining that earlier. But yeah, you can see the imp inside, controlling the machine. And then, when you've gotten your good look at the imp, having it in 2 parts also makes it easier to move. You know, otherwise it would collapse the second I picked it up from the weight. You can just slide this back on when you're done visiting Imp Buddy. And yeah. And there's something else I was going to explain. Oh, this wheel. You might be wondering, how doesn't this poke through the clay? Because, you know, it's just 2 prongs poking straight up. I got a plastic, like this plastic knife I used to cut stuff. I got a plastic spoon, ripped the top off, and this handle part, laid it within this platform so it kind of stopped the 2 prongs from poking through, because before they were poking through and impaling my poor little imp. That was my father's idea. So he was very smart for thinking of that. It's the only reason this thing stands without collapsing. And yeah, that is my biggest clay creation to date. And you see all the tools I use, toothpicks, wire, that roller thing to kind of smooth out and flatten clay, especially useful for covering the cup, wire cutter to cut the wire, and there's 2 bags of all the clay, miscellaneous colors I used. A lot of orange and gray and yellow. Orange, gray, and yellow is basically 90% of this. I hope you found my lengthy imp explanation at least slightly interesting, but you should also leave a comment saying, out of the 7 imps, what is the best imp? Is it the regular imp, Lil Drake, the Pylon imp, which is the correct answer clearly, the shrimp, the scallywag imp, the party imp, or the Z7 imp? And you know, maybe if there's one that's clearly the fan favorite, I'll make it with clay as well. Although that's unlikely, because I don't know if I want to make another one of these. It was a lot of clay used and a lot of time spent.